I've worked with schools, groups and governments for many years, talking to them about how they can use baseline assessment for school improvement. The same questions come up again and again as people start to understand the role baseline assessment can play, so I thought it would be good to share some of those questions in this short video. So what's the purpose of a baseline assessment? Well, baseline assessments are intended to provide teachers with a high quality, objective measure of students' aptitudes and skills at a single moment in time. A baseline assessment isn't intended to measure everything a student knows and can do, but a sample of that knowledge. So this type of assessment uses a wealth of research evidence and psychometric theory to build an assessment that measures students' skills and aptitudes, the skills that we know are critical for accessing the whole curriculum and ultimately for successful outcomes. So what does it assess? Well, the main components of our Cambridge CEM assessment are vocabulary and mathematics, really important skills for supporting success in all subjects. These strands run right the way across the age range. For younger children, the assessments will measure the very early understandings of numeracy and literacy, and then for older students, they'll be assessed on complex vocabulary and calculations. The key is that all of these concepts are linked closely to later success in the curriculum. So how would you use baseline assessment? So Cambridge CEM's baseline assessments can help you as a teacher in a number of ways. The most obvious is given away in the name. It provides a baseline measure of student skills and aptitudes at a moment in time, and that measure can serve as a baseline for measuring progress later on. The best time to use baseline assessment is at the beginning of the year, particularly at transitions between key educational phases, where there's been a gap in learning or where school records might be patchy. Because baseline assessment is usually conducted very early in the school year, it's a great way for teachers to get an overall picture of the skills and aptitudes of the students in their class. This can help them to understand the challenges ahead and where resource might need to be focused. Insight from the assessment gives a profile of each student, highlighting the areas of strength and weakness. This can support teachers to develop the best teaching and learning plans that get every student off to a flying start. Another important purpose of a baseline assessment is to identify students who are at risk of not being adequately supported. That can include students who may need further testing to uncover learning difficulties, and equally identify highly able students who may not be sufficiently challenged. A final point, but an important one: nobody knows your students better than you do. Our insight is most powerful when it's used by you, teaching professionals, to support your own judgment. That's when the magic happens.